Good morning. Welcome to Raw Vlog number 33, which is recorded live in front of a steering wheel on my way to getting my Friday morning coffee, brought to you raw and unrequited here on the MTB ALAN channel. I have my radio on full shuffle right now, so I just went from Black Flag, I Want to See, to some classical, which is kind of rad. In any case, if you're unfamiliar with the channel, I'm Alan. This is the MTB ALAN channel. I produce mountain bike content and deliver it on Mondays at 5 p.m. every Monday at 5 p.m. So hit that subscribe button and you'll be getting that content. In Raw Vlog 33, we have a few questions that I missed previously. We also have a core question from Wade Cox, who asked about my dream bike, my dream build. So we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about that, and hopefully not getting too philosophical about that, because I have a tendency to do that, unless you don't mind. Just shout out right now and let me know if you mind me getting philosophical. Have I forgotten anything? No, let's just jump into our channel news. So, you know, we're at the beginning of 2019, and I am refocusing myself around the channel. I think I've had a pretty consistent focus around the channel, but I'm gonna change my focus a little bit. The content's gonna be pretty similar, but I'm just gonna come straight with you. I spent a bit of time being, I got a little caught up sometimes with the numbers. Like, you know, I would ask myself, like, why am I not at 5,000 subscribers yet? Or why did I get that thumbs down? You know, and I started just getting caught up in these numbers. And one thing that I knew this, you know, I'm just kind of relearning this, and that is that the measure is not the goal, right? Like if I try to make my goal 5,000 subscribers or 10,000 subscribers, it's gonna drive me crazy, because it's really just an arbitrary number. Nothing special happens when you hit a certain number. It's kind of like saying, instead of like wanting to go to your friend's house, which is 11.2 miles away, your goal is to drive 11.2 miles. And like, okay, fine, you can drive 11.2 miles, but what's that gonna get you? As in opposed to saying, my goal is to go see my friend. And then you end up at your friend's house. So anyway, kind of refocusing myself around how I really started this channel, which was about, well, it initially just started from recording my stuff, but it turned into wanting to connect more with the community, be a resource to the community. So I'm just gonna be focusing on that. So if I make a video, I'm not gonna worry if I'm gonna get X number of views. I'm gonna worry about, am I making something that the right people are gonna find useful? So you may see some shifts in the content from there. Cool. Oh, also, bit of channel news. I put out that sketch for the air horn sticker / t-shirt. I don't know if you saw that. I posted it in my community tab on YouTube, and I also posted in Instagram about that. And I got really good feedback from you. I was worried whether or not the crew, whether or not you would get it, and it seems like a fair number of you got it. And not only did you get it, but you would want at least a sticker, possibly a t-shirt, and maybe even both. If I put them out, you'd buy that. I'm gonna do them all. I'm gonna do a sticker, and I'm gonna do a t-shirt, sweatshirt, whatever, on my Teespring stuff. So it'll show up there once I finish up the sketches and get the graphics put together. So we're gonna do that, and then it's gonna be available. I just wanted to make sure, A, that you got it, like you got the joke, and that B, that you would even want it. So I'm stoked on that. Good feedback. So that's that. I'm adding a new segment for today, which is called Stuff I Forgot. And so one thing that I forgot is that I did a poll a while back about your favorite trail at Greer Ranch, and Overdrive overwhelmingly won by like 56% over everything else, and coming in second is No Surprise Distortion. I was gonna put more trails in there, but when I was doing the poll, it was like limiting the number of trails I could put in, options I could put in. But anyway, yeah, that was the result of that. Thanks for your feedback on that. I just thought that was a little fun thing to do. Stoke of the week is I've been getting to meet new people. I went and did my first ever like guided, I guess led group ride with the Path Bike Shop. Showed up at Santiago Oaks at 8:30 in the morning and rode with there was like 0 people that I knew in that ride. I had kind of interacted with Bryan a little bit, who's works with the Path, rides for the Path, ambassador, I don't know, but is associated with the Path. So I was going in like completely blind into a group, and I'm normally not into that kind of thing. I tend to like to control my riding experience a little bit, but I went and did that, and I was skeptical. I gotta be straight with you, I was skeptical like how much fun I would actually have, but I actually had a really good time, and so I'm stoked on the fact that I'm not a mountain bike snob, at least not most of the time. Anyway, that's that. Before we get into our main question, I'm just gonna bust through 2 questions that somehow fell by the wayside. Actually, they didn't fall by the wayside. Now that I'm remembering it, I answered them in the comments, but I figured I would also answer them in the raw vlog to just kind of call it out and make it a little bit more broadly available. R2 asks who has the right of way on a trail, and we're talking about there's the climbing rider and there's the descending rider. Old school rules say that the climbing rider has the right of way, and I understand this because that person has a harder time keeping up their momentum. It's also a lot harder for them to like just get going again on a lot of single track climbs once you stop, if you have to pull over for a descending rider. I feel like culturally this is shifting a bit. I actually also, this is talking a lot about two-way trails. We have a lot of when you have two-way trails, you have to take that into consideration. But I think in a place like Greer Ranch, where all the trails are pretty much directional, unidirectional, you don't have to worry about that. But I think like as we've shifted more towards enduro riding, where you're climbing to do the descent, you're not necessarily doing more XC rides, it's shifting a bit. And I know I've been on a lot of rides where I'm climbing and the descending person just doesn't give any right away, and either I have to like scoonch over to the side or pull over. And I don't have any strong opinions about that either way. I know there's safety concerns, but yeah, I know if I'm bombing down a hill or down a trail, it would be pretty hard to pull over at times. So the technical answer is the climbing rider has the right of way, but I do feel like it's shifting a bit. Yeah. And then Bryan Anthony asked what made me choose the Bronson over the Nomad. And I think this really came down to the fact that it looked like the Nomad was gonna see a refresh pretty soon. I had a lot of fun on the Nomad, and I did have some concerns about it being a bigger bike and am I gonna suffer more on the climbs, but I don't know if I really would have suffered that much more than I do on the Bronson. If you look at the dimensions between the current generation Bronson and the current generation Nomad, they're really similar. Obviously the big difference being the amount of travel, and some of the geometry is a little bit different, but like lengthwise, size-wise, there's like a very small difference between the two. In any case, it was really about the fact that I was thinking that the Nomad was going to see a refresh soon, and if I was going to get a bike, I'd rather get it towards the beginning of its cycle, no pun intended. So the Bronson was kind of like in the middle, right? So it's like, it was the, I think the one that I bought was the first year that it was in that new in the new redesign with the lower linkage and stuff. The other thing is the Bronson has a symmetrical rear triangle, and the Nomad still has like that open side, and I was just wondering if the new generation was going to have the closed triangle or the symmetrical triangle. I don't know, that really was it. I know that sounds kind of nerdy or technical or whatever, but yeah, that was my answer. Wade, you asked me about my dream bike, my dream build. I don't actually have your actual question right here, but it was basically that. Let's see how much time we got. All right. So broadly speaking, I would want a bike that is as quiet as possible and has as few cables as possible. So that means we're talking probably an Onyx hub. Because I love the sound of the tires on the trail, and just listening to that when I listen back to my video, and that's mostly what I can hear. I love that. So probably an Onyx hub, and then we're also talking access, SRAM access shifting, so wireless shifting, so getting rid of that cable, and then the access dropper seat post. So we would get rid of that cable, and all we would have left is our brake hoses. And I don't want to go into wireless brakes. I think I would love to see that. Obviously there's a bunch of technical issues and fear around that, but if I could have a bike that had like no like little tubes running around the bike and it just like worked, that would be rad. Now, if we could get, and now, okay, I'm gonna not go fully into fantasy yet. So access on the shifters, access on the dropper seat post, and an Onyx hub. I would probably go for what is hopefully going to be the next generation Nomad, or maybe the Mega Tower, like mulleted. Obviously I shouldn't say obviously, I would go for either the carbon reserves from Santa Cruz, or what's the new one? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting now. There's a new set of wheels where they made the set so that I think the front is more compliant than the back. Please hit me up in the comments if you know. Wade, you probably know. Just so you know, Wade, who has asked me this question, Wade Cox, he can tell you part numbers and stuff. Like, he knows his stuff. So yeah, actually, Wade, you probably know which wheels those are. So that's probably, maybe I would look at those. I have been really happy with those carbon reserves. I love the way they feel. They feel really snappy. They never feel harsh. And yeah, I love the way that the wheels sound like that. I'd probably go with my standard DHF and DHR for the tires. I was looking at those 1UP flex bars that came out recently. Not that I really feel like I ever need to get rid of arm pump or anything like that, and I don't know how much it would really help me with my wrist now. Maybe it would, so that would be something I would look into. I don't know too much about headsets, but you know, I know Chris King is cool. I've been really happy with the Spank seat that I've been using, and also maybe I'd look into the Spank VibraCore handlebars, because they have that like foam insert which reduces vibration, and I heard that like they feel pretty similar to regular bars, but you feel the difference more on like longer descents. So if I were to go do like a heli drop, Revelstoke, something like that, then that would help there. But like, I never really feel much problem with my hands and arm pump, even when I'm doing like full pulls up at Snow Summit or whatnot. or even like fall line. What else is on a bike? I think we already talked about access, so that takes care of our drivetrain. Wheels, and then, yeah, is that enough? What else is there to talk about? I wouldn't get an elliptical chain ring. I don't really know anything about that. My pedals, I tend to use, I mean, I'm sorry, Wade, like my dream bike is pretty standard, I guess. Because I'm thinking like my pedals, I use like the 1-up pedals, but I use the the composite ones because I feel like the metal ones are just a little too harsh if I like get a rock strike. The composite ones are cheaper and I don't worry about them as much, and they spin well and they work just fine. That's it, right? There's nothing else on a bike, is there? Probably there's other stuff that I'm missing. Oh, one thing that I would do that I always am too impatient to do is put some sort of like frame wrap on it, Invisiframe or whatever. I know the Path Bike Shop actually does their own like frame wraps, and they buy their own material, and they do, as far as I understand, they do it just as well as you would with like an Invisiframe. But that's one thing I would do to my next bike. I'm gonna do it to my next bike. I always forget, and then I get like little carbon chips and freak out about it. Yeah, that's it. That's my dream bike. I know it's, if you want to talk fantasy, I would want something like, I would want a Santa Cruz with a gearbox in it, because I would love to get rid of that freaking derailleur and all that stuff hanging off the back of the bike. Okay, so a gearbox, a Santa Cruz with a gearbox. Cool. So yeah, there we go. I hope you dug it. Hit that like button if you dug the video. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Hit me with more questions. I love the questions as they come in. If you really want to support the channel, and if you see it, check out that applause button. You can click on it and see what it's about. You can investigate it if you see it and learn more about it. Let me know what you think about that. YouTube is, I am in contact with YouTube about that feature, and if you have any feedback as a viewer, please send me the feedback, because then I can pass that on to YouTube, and I can help them help you, help me. Hope you dug it.